It was a lovely day. The children were playing in the garden in the afternoon. It was a huge garden where the flowers grew in the grass, and the garden was filled with fruitful trees. The birds chirped sweetly in the garden, and sometimes the children paused and gave the birds all their attention, enjoying the sweetness of the sounds of birds. Then, one day, the owner of the garden, who had traveled abroad and now he's back, saw the children playing in the garden and got irritated. "What are you doing in my land?" he shouted loudly. And as the children heard him screaming, they immediately ran away. Then the owner continued, "This is my land, no one is allowed to play here. I own this place." The children became so sad and had no place to play, even in the street. They couldn't play, because it was dirty and full of big rocks. When winter came, birds did not sing and the trees forgot to grow flowers. In the meantime, the snow covered the whole garden, and the trees were covered with silver. Sadly, spring never came to the garden and summer did not come too. The owner was confused about that. "Why are all the other gardens green and full of life except for mine?" he pondered. One Saturday morning, the owner was lying down on his bed when he heard some beautiful and musical sounds. A little bird was singing outside his window in the garden. "Oh my God! Finally! Spring came to my garden," he cried happily. All of a sudden, he looked out at the garden and saw it full of children, and then he realized how tough and selfish he was when he did not allow children to play in his empty and beautiful garden. He smiled at them and decided to apologize for his unkindness. But when the children saw the owner, they freaked out and ran away again, thinking that the owner is going to kick them out again. They all escaped except for one little boy that was stuck in a tree and his eyes were full of tears. He was so afraid that the owner might hurt him. However, the owner came to him and calmed him down. He carried him in his arms and told him that he didn't want to hurt him, and helped him out to reach the red apple in the tree. The owner of the garden asked the little boy to tell his friends that they're allowed to play in his garden whenever they want. The little boy was thrilled and ran to his friends to tell them the big news. The children were fired up and content with what they heard from the little boy, and they started planning the next day cheerfully. Every afternoon, the children came and played in the garden after school. The owner was very kind to them, and even played with them and offered some delicious cookies. Years after years, the owner became very old and weak, and he could not play with the children anymore. The children also became grown-ups, but did not stop visiting the owner. One morning, they came into the garden and found the owner lying dead under the apple tree. He was covered with white flowers.
لا تنسى دعمنا بإعجاب والاشتراك في القناة.